So we're testing this and we're really liking what we're seeing. We have to go on with this. It's important that this message is spread and is passed on, however the information is passed. Welcome to another so deep conversation on education talks. And in this episode, we're looking at behind the high, the truth about student addiction. Behind the high, the truth about student addiction. And this is a podcast where we speak truth into the lives of students and the system that shaped them. I'm Mr. Ajiro, and today we're going into hard territories. One many people avoid, but that we can no longer ignore. This episode is important because behind every slouch posture in class, behind every late submission, behind every sudden change in attitude or declining grade, there might be something deeper, something darker, something silently screaming for help. Addiction doesn't always look like the movies. It doesn't always start with drugs or alcohol. Sometimes it begins with vapes passed around in secret during breaks. Sometimes it's the dependence on prescription pills just to focus or feel calm. Sometimes it's pornography, social media, online gaming, or even the desperate craving for attention to risky behavior. We don't always talk about it, but it's there in our classrooms, in our corridors. Behind the well-dressed prefects, behind the quiet student at the back, addiction among students is real, and it's eating away at their confidence, their concentration, and their capacity to learn. Let me say this. Addiction is not about bad people doing bad things. It's about wounded people trying to feel something or escape from something. You see, most students don't wake up and say, I want to ruin my focus today. No one chooses addiction. They slip into it gradually, quietly, sometimes without even realizing it. Why does it matter? Why does it happen? Some are coping with anxiety or trauma. Others feel lonely at home or under immense pressure to perform at school. Why does it happen? Some are just trying to fit in, and suddenly they are in too deep. I got a mail from a student who said to me, Hi Ajiro, because I think I was talking about something related to this in one of my podcasts, and he said, I listened to your podcast and it got to me. For me, addiction is the only thing that numbs the noise in my head. Another said, I know it's bad, but it's the only time I feel okay. These aren't criminals. These are children, teenagers, still forming, still figuring life out. Here's where it hurts the most. Addiction robs students of their future. Slowly. It takes away attention span. it distorts sleep, it increases anxiety, it affects memory. I'm going to say it again. Addiction robs students of their future, and here's how. It robs it. It doesn't just come all at once. It comes gradually. The first thing you notice is it takes away attention span. You're not able to focus for a few minutes max, and then you're distracted. You can't pay attention to just one thing over and over again because your mind is so clouded. It distorts your sleep. Instead of you having a very 7-hour sleep, 8-hour sleep, you're out there either social media, either gaming, online gaming, or it could be just watching pornography, or any of its similitudes. And all this affects the student greatly. And then it increases anxiety. You panic all the time. A little thing and you're on the edge. And then it affects memory. You find that you're reading something and you don't understand it. Something that should be very easy to grab. And then you don't get it. It takes you time and time again. These are addictions, and these addictions are real. Students struggling with addiction begin to mix classes. They stop participating, they submit late or not at all. They lie to cover up. They isolate themselves. So one of the outcome of addiction is isolation. You just want to be on your own. You don't want to be around people. You just want to be separated from everyone else. And these are things that, schools are not looking into. Teachers are not looking into. They say, oh, she's a quiet type, she's this. But if you look down deep, that's an addiction that child is facing. And as the academic decline begins, shame creeps in. You wonder, why is this student not doing well? I mean, these are factors to it. They start to believe the lie. I'm stupid. I'm weak. No one can help me. Because obviously they are not doing well. And that's how the cycle begins. The escape leads to failure. The failure leads to more escape. That's the cycle. The escape leads to failure. And the failure leads to more escape. It becomes hard to focus because the mind is divided. One part wants to succeed, the other part wants a relief. And you cannot learn when your mind is at war with itself. That's what the problem is. You cannot learn when your mind is at war with itself. Sometimes we see the symptoms, but we mislabel them. A student becomes moody, we call them rude. They start failing, we call them lazy. Because we mislabel them. We don't really know what is happening with them. But behind the moodiness, that laziness, that bad attitude might be an addiction the student is afraid to admit. See, nobody admits an addiction. Nobody say, oh, I have an addiction problem. No. Most of them might not even know they have an addiction problem because to them it's normal. People do it. Everyone does it. But it's affecting them. So it's easy to punish what we don't understand. But what if we started asking different questions? As teachers, as owners of schools, as counselors, what if we start asking different questions? What if instead, why are you failing? We ask, what are you carrying? I'm not saying we excuse the behavior. I'm saying we investigate the pain. Now, here's the truth. Addiction is not the end of the road. With the right support, early, consistent, and non-judgmental, student can recover. student can recover. They can rebuild focus. They can find new ways to cope. They can strive again. But it starts with 3 things. Number 1, safe spaces where students can talk without fear of shame. 2, honest education. Not just saying no to drugs, but understanding why students say yes. It's not enough to say no to drugs, say no to pornography, say no to social vices, but understanding why the students are saying yes to it. You're saying no, they're saying yes. So we need to understand. Number 3, compassionate accountability. Guiding them out, not throwing them away. For any student listening right now, you are not your addiction. You are not beyond help. You are not alone. Please talk to someone, a teacher, a counselor, a trusted adult. Or write a letter to Ajiro Tech and see what happens. We can help in any way we can. Speak anonymously. Cry out if you must. But don't suffer in silence. Because silence protects the problem. I'm going to say it again. Silence protects the problem. And you deserve more than survival. You deserve healing. Here's a question I want every listener, student or adult, to reflect on. What are you doing to help students feel safe enough to admit when they are not okay? I'm going to say it again. What are you doing to help students feel safe enough to admit when they are not okay? And to students, this is for you, something to reflect on. If you had one moment of total safety, what would you confess? If you had one moment of total safety, what would you confess? Well, your answer might be a life, including your own. So this has been a heavy episode, but a necessary one. Addiction in school is real, but so is recovery. So is support. So is growth. If you're struggling, don't suffer in silence. Speak, reach, trust again. And if you're watching someone struggle, be the person who stays, who listens, who believes in healing. And thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Be kind, be real, and remember, we don't just teach minds, we touch lives. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.